Alright everybody, how you doing and welcome back to my channel. As you see, I'm finna do my little thing here. I'm finna go ahead and do the thermals of the Cuboid do-it-yourself Cuboid, because I'm finna break that down and go to the Solo T2 because it's a little bigger and bulky. Let me just go ahead and swing it around, go B-roll style. Yes, you know, yep. There go my mic. You know, I do a lot of stuff up on here, so it's more like an office setup type. So yeah, I do a lot. There's the Cuboid. That baby is big. It's a monster, and you know what? I can't go wrong with it because I love it. Yes, I do. So the thing is with that, as I strictly said there, you know, it's about 10.85 inches by almost 11 inches wide. So you know, I want to go ahead and cut some space off of it. So I'll be going down to my do-it-yourself Solo T2. Now, but before I go ahead and do that, I'm gonna go ahead on and give y'all the thermals of it before I break it down. Just like I said, it's a great case. I love it. This was my very first case I had brought because I got more into the presentation feel of it. It's black and blue. I wanted the black and red one, but they were sold out. This was the only last one I had, so I got the black and blue. It is a acrylic side panel, so you know you cannot go wrong with it. But before I do anything, I like to go ahead on and test my thermals and BIOS. Yes, I'm just gonna go ahead and swing, go on that nice good B-roll style. There go my mic again, the pencils and everything. And let me get back to one of my main 32-inch monitors. Yes. Before I get started, I normally test everything into the BIOS before I get started anything. Now normally your BIOS normally have the degrees and temperatures right there. So as you see, I'm into my BIOS. As you see the information, I'm on a Ryzen 5 3600. 6-core 12-thread processor. You know, I can't go wrong with it with the 3.6 megahertz with the 4.2 boost. If I need an extra thump, it thumping in for me. But what I normally do is I normally test out everything into my BIOS. And normally I go ahead on and make sure that my CPU temperature is right, as well as my motherboard temperature is right. Now your motherboard temperatures hold all the VRMs, your virtual regulated modules, so they'll let you know how much power being pushed into the board. If you see your motherboard and CPU overheating, that means you got heat issues. So right now everything's running good. I got my fan. I got two fans on the CPU cooler. My main fan is at 1140 RPM. The other one's at 1493 RPM. It goes up and down to 1500 to 12, but I got everything and it just basically just turbo. Now you probably hearing now them fans are cranking up loud. When I crank it up, the ID cooling fan, it goes up to 1800 RPM and it just stays as is. Right now, my CPU is at 47 to 48 Celsius and my motherboard temperature is at 34 Celsius. So everything is good and clean. I'm gonna go ahead and run it. Right now it is 440. I'm gonna run it about good 5-10 minutes. So about 450, I'm gonna go ahead and shut everything off. Y'all can go ahead and get a good normal adept of what I'm messing with. Yeah, normally my CPU gets up just in idle. And two, one thing I like doing, running everything in BIOS, it shows me complete of how my CPU running and my whole PC is running thermalized in idle mode. Now I'm in idle, I ain't doing nothing, I ain't accessing no programs. It's just right now it is in idle. I'm pushing 1.417 volts of the CPU voltage, so everything is good and clean. As you know, I don't overclock, I don't run anything. This is just my main editing business rig here, so you know how that is. So I go ahead on and do all my businesses such as my stocks, my taxes, you know, do my movie editing, my video editing. You know, it just simple basic stuff. You know, I'm not trying to get into all that fancy stuff, but I'm gonna let my thermals run for about 5 to 10 minutes. Right now it's in 2 minutes in now. So, if we see your CPU spiking while it's idle, that means you didn't apply enough CPU paste on it, or you just left the CPU plastic covering on the CPU cooler. You forgot to take it off. But this is what I normally do to make sure I got everything running perfectly and properly. I'm gonna go ahead and let it run about 3 more minutes, and then I'm gonna go ahead and run Cinebench, and with the hardware monitor thing screen on, and we be all good and dandy. Now I'm gonna be doing the same thing when I switch into the Solo T2, so you can go ahead and get a good idea. Cause I know some of y'all sit down saying I shouldn't switch. Yeah, but just like I said, I want some space on my desk. My Cuboid build is all meshed out, so I got open air coming in from top to bottom. I can install a 240 millimeter radiator, but one thing I hate about the radiators, I hate to see that tubing hang, and that's one reason why I like to stick to basic. I'm old school. I love being old school. I'm not too good to new content, new school stuff. The only new school traditional I got into was the RGB, but I just want to go ahead on and tear down my editing rig to something more basic, something more simple, because about damn near all my computers in my house are RGB fortified. So, and I'm gonna say fortified and certified. So yeah. So I just want to go ahead on and break it down now. I will be using my do-it-yourself Solo T2 because I'm trying to find a case that could hold a 200 millimeter fan as well as three 120 millimeter fans in the case. I don't want to sit down here and buy a new case with a whole lot of fans again. I love Cool Move fans. My motherboard don't come with RGB headers on it. I'm simple, I'm basic, everything is good to go. I'll be putting all the specs in the computer below. If you want to purchase it yourself, you can turn it into a gaming rig, or you just want an all-out business edition rig, you could go ahead and do so. But other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and just do my thing and just let it sit for about another 3 minutes, or I'll probably go for 10 to 440 to 450. Right now it's on. Gotta give that B-roll footage slowly. It is now 4:44, so I might go ahead on and let it go 6 more minutes, and I'm just gonna go ahead and shut it down. Right now it's idling at 49 degrees Celsius, 35 degrees Celsius. So that's still pretty basic, normal. You want your PCs to be, for basic use, it should be in the 60 degrees Celsius level. If you're a gamer, you should go no more than 70 to 80 degrees. Anything over 80. Now, once you break 90, yeah, you got thermal issues, and you need to correct that ASAP. That means your PC is not cooling properly, and you need to fix it ASAP. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go 5 more minutes with it, and then that's it. Alrighty, it ran about a good 9 minutes now. So it is idling at 50 degrees Celsius with my motherboard temps at 35 degrees Celsius. That's pretty good. You know, it's not that hot, you know, but that's the highest I go with my my PCs. No more from 42 to 52, no higher than that. So okay, I'm gonna go ahead on and get into running Cinebench. Alrighty, everybody, I got Cinebench open up, and as you see, I'm doing a nice, good, slow B-roll. You know how I do. And I got Cinebench open up, and I'm gonna go ahead on and just have it stabled up. Now my temperature on Chord 1 is 37 minimum, 48 Celsius. So now I'm just gonna go ahead on and run the multi-core. And we're getting started here, so you know how it is. Just right now, everything is at 37 Celsius. My value here is at 45. My max is at 37, and my minimum, my minimum is at 37. My core is at 48. So right now we're getting started. Okay, as you see, it's going on in the background. I'm running the multi-core, so right now I'm cranking up at 50. Y'all just gonna watch the open. I'm at 51. So this is the test. I'll be adding this video when I'll be doing the same thing with my do-it-yourself Solo T2. So I'll be running that test. They're gonna have 4 fans into it. Now in the Cuboid build, I got one 20mm fan. Let me correct that, one 200mm fan, 3 120mm fans. On the CPU cooler, I got 2 120mm, giving that baby a nice good cool pressure thumping. So right now it's at max is at 57, and my minimum is at 37. So I'm looking at the max. My temperature packet is at 75 degrees Celsius. Y'all see everything. And I'm just going to let this test run, and after that, that'll be it. And then I'll be doing the same thing in the Solo T2. I'm gonna go ahead and let it run. I want to get down to like maybe 5 minutes or so. You know, it's holding at 59 degrees Celsius. My temperature pacnoid is at 75.6 Celsius, so which is not bad. When you get down to about, I'll probably say about 3 minutes, then I'm just gonna go ahead and stop it. I'm not gonna run the whole full test. Or I just might just go ahead and let the whole full test run. So, but you know how I do. Easy selling, easy going. The main reason why I brought this here for performance, speed. You know, my apps run perfectly. When I do all my editing, I get done with my videos about a good 2 to 3 minutes. It all depends on how long they are. Like I said, I don't need no beast monster. You know, 8 cores, 16 threads, or 12 cores, 24 threads, because those are basically streaming processors. I'm not live streaming, so you know, I don't have no Elgato or anything hooked up to my computer. Just basic, simple PC. And so, you know, I could have went with a 4-core 8-thread, but I wanted a little more beefier. You know, I had a friend who's now an associate to me. You know, he trying to tell me what to do on my system. And one thing that kind of like tore us apart is that nobody, no male or female, should not tell a PC user what they can do or what they cannot do with their PC. The PC user is supposed to figure that out. You know, just like when I had built my basic level gaming rig, I ain't gonna call it no mid level, because the mid level is on 6 cores, 12 threads, or 8 cores, 16 threads. When you start getting to the 8 core, 16 threads, you know you have a streaming PC. because you can stream the best streaming PCs are off of 8 cores or 16 threads or 12 cores to 24 threads higher. So I'm not talking about the thread rippers because that's just too much maximum power right there. But other than that, everything's going good. I'm about 6 minutes and something in. So, and right now I'm at 60 degrees Celsius. So, yeah, this baby holding pretty good. My value's at 60 degrees Celsius. My minimum is at 37. And my package noise is at 76 degrees Celsius. So, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. You can see my amperage going up and down. So, you know, everything holding good. You cannot go wrong with it. Now, if you don't want to see clocks, I closed all that down, so because that's not necessary. You know, you just need to see the temps. As you know, my CPU fan, yeah, it's at 1740 and 18. Yeah, it automatically adjusts. So that's one thing I love about it. And those fans and the ID cooling, CPU cooler. The SE2400 XT Basic is a beast. So if you want to go ahead and pick you up one, you can. Now just keep in mind, I will be putting all the parts in the description below if you want to purchase this yourself. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and put some alternatives just in case if you want to go ahead on and turn into a gaming rig. I'm gonna go ahead and put an alternative 1 terabyte and a 1 terabyte SSD, so you can hold more. And for content creators, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and you can use that as well too. So that'll be a good blessing right there. And I'm very happy with this system. Even though I had brought an extra 1 terabyte hard drive to hold more space, I really bought that 1 terabyte hard drive for my editing, for my entertainment rig. But I'm gonna go ahead and take the 500 out and put it in there, so I can have more if I want to go ahead on and download my movies and save them into the computer. So when I want to watch my movies, I can go ahead and watch my movies like my Star Trek, Picard, Star Trek Discovery, and any other good movies that's coming out now. So, alright, we about 4 minutes in and drop. I'm just gonna go ahead on and stop talking for a little bit. Go get me some water, and y'all watch the temperature right now. It's holding at 60 degrees Celsius. So that's basic right there. And it's not getting hot at all. My minimum is at 37. My max is at 60. And it's been holding 60 alone. My CPU fans that kicked up because I got my CPU fans set on turbo. But if I need that extra cooling, it kicks up. My CPU fan is at 1834 RPM. My minimum is at 918 RPM. And my max is at 1854. Now my second fan, that's the Arctic F12. That goes up to about 1600 RPM if needed. But right now my values is at 1374 and my max is at 13 RPM. So yeah, this baby keeps cool. It's good if you get a CPU cooler, air cooler. It's best to go ahead and double fan it like I did. So you know you go if you are editing like I do. Sometimes I edit about like 2 or 3, 4 videos constantly. So I go ahead on there, you know, I go ahead on and let that down. But it's good to go ahead on and add an extra fan to the CPU cooler, air cooler, so you can go ahead and get that nice good coolage and keep your CPU nice and cool. Now if you're on the AIO, that's a whole different story. You just have to go ahead and read your production just so you know your TDP of your CPU. And what's the max TDP of your AIOs? If you're an overclocker, then you gotta make sure that baby be nice and beef. You got your fans going on, y'all cranking the GPU stupidly. So yeah, y'all like to build your system over 12 hours. I don't believe in that foolishness. So I'm at 2.7 in, that's not bad. Cannot go wrong with that. So other than that, everything is all nice, good and dandy. Alrighty, I have did a 9,194 points. My max CPU is at 61, so it stayed pretty cool. It's dropping down now. You know, yeah, baby, it's nice and hot, but you know I can't go wrong with it. I want to thank y'all for watching. The next video will be with the do-it-yourself Solo T2. So y'all stand by. Here we go. Alright, everybody, how y'all doing? Welcome back for the final and only thermal test with the Solo T2. Now everything looking good and clean. She booted. You know I had to do what I had to do. So let's go ahead on and just do our little thing. I'm gonna give you that nice slow B-roll. Now y'all excuse the desk because just like I said, I basically do a whole lot of stuff up here. So you know it's a little messy right now, but you know how I do. Give me that nice good B-roll. Yes sir. As you see the Cyber Acoustic CBL 2005 sitting there. And the cable management is not spot on, but one thing I really don't care too much about the cable management because I mostly disconnect, clean my desk off, and go through the whole 9 with what I have to do. Got my USB 7 port control up top with my Bluetooth version 5.0 sitting up top of there. Yes sir. I might put it back into the back, but it's on me. All right, there she go, looking nice and clean. You cannot go wrong with that. Yes, sir. Swinging on back. Now, I did do a little run. She's keeping cool. But then I'm going to go ahead on and start getting into the Cinebench Test. And let that baby run for you. All right, I'm going to go ahead. It's already in idle, so it's not too much cranked up. So let's go ahead on and get into the temps. All right, she's pushing 50 degrees Celsius on the CPU temperature. And a little bit up, 41, 42 degrees on the motherboard temp. And my VDDCR CPU voltage is 1.4, up and down to 1727 volts. So everything looking pretty cool. You know my fans are right now at everything, and all my fans are in turbo. And the one in the crowd kit, so the Apiva's doing great. All that nice cooler getting blown in. Right now, my CPU fan is at 1216 RPM, 1214, 1216 RPM. Basically, my other channel fan, which is on the CPU as well, is going at 1430, 1436 top. So everything looking good. So you know you cannot go wrong with that. Y'all can go ahead and sit in the corner. Now, y'all excuse it, you know, I'm trying to blow it up a little bit. Oh, that didn't work. But anyway, y'all see it there. So if we go ahead on and get into the Cinebench test. So if we go ahead on and boot right into the system now. Everything looking good and clean. Y'all see all my hard drives up there. They go to terabyte, the 320 gigabytes, and I got the 256 gigabyte M.2 looking nice, good and clean. So therefore, what I'm going to do, just like I said, it could be turned to a gaming rig. You know, I'm going to be putting all the descriptions in the link, and I'll put all the link in the description below. So about that, viewers. So if y'all want to purchase it for a simple basic system, or you want to purchase it as a gaming rig just by modifying, I'll be putting additional parts in there just to make it a nice good gaming rig and with a better motherboard. So you know, I chose this motherboard by the Asus A320MK because just like I said, I don't overclock it. I don't need that many VRAMs to go ahead and do what I gotta do. So okay, let's go ahead on and do this here. Switching over. Alright everybody, how y'all doing today? I'm back with the test of the Solo T2 temp test, so using Cinebench R23. Okay, everything is at idle right now. I'm at 38 degrees Celsius and I'm at 46 degrees Celsius. My CPU package noise is noise 0 at 38.3 Celsius and max is 47.3 Celsius. Okay, I'll be putting these into a graph So y'all can go ahead and say I did the Cuboid. Now I'm doing the solo T2, and we're finna go ahead and get started. I am doing single chord test, so let's go ahead and get this here. I also keep in mind I'm not putting none of the Cinebench scores in because that's not what the test is about. The test is I switch cases, and I want to go ahead and see how the temperatures do. So let's go ahead on and get into it. I'm doing single chord. All right, and she's getting ready to start. Temperatures right now is 42, it went up to 43, 46, and I'm at 45.1 to 47.3 on the noise. Alrighty, and restart it. Okie dokie. Oh, let me fix that. Alrighty, and restart it. And we are set. I'm doing single chord test, so I'm testing all chords single, so you know how that is. I got 9 minutes and 30 something seconds left. Right now my temps is at 48 degrees Celsius. Here, 48 degrees Celsius. On the CPU noise is at 56.5 Celsius to 57.1 Celsius. My CPU fans are holding values at 1159. The second fan is at 1424. Minimum is at 929 RPM. Max is 1161 to 1477. Yes, I'm a dual fan. I added the second fan on the back just for good cooling performance. Right now she's doing pretty good, holding at 48 degrees Celsius and 48 degrees Celsius on the max, 56.3 on the noise main value, and 58.0 Celsius on the max. Okay, my temp is 49 degrees, 49 holding. My value, my temps, package noise, 57.9 Celsius, 58.9 Celsius. And if y'all want to know how the GPU is doing, at 51 degrees Celsius, 48 degrees Celsius. So yeah, she's holding pretty decent. Right now, everything's holding pretty fine. This was a good switch to the the Solo T2. Temps are holding great. I can't complain on that. This is a great case by do-it-yourself PC. The reason why I switched down because the size preference. This is 8.20 inches wide. To the Cuboid is almost 10.85 inches wide. So y'all see why 8 inches to almost 11 inches. So yeah, cut down the width a little bit. I got opened up a lot of space on my desk. Temps are holding great, so I ain't got to worry about it. I'm touching the top. Now the top don't have no airflow, but I'm going to be going ahead on and putting the opening that up and putting the vent up top. So I'll be having that video soon. Right now, temps on the north is 58.3, 58.9, 49 It just jumped to 50. So yeah, she's holding pretty good. Fan speeds are holding good. You know, my max is 1201 RPM. Other one is 1477 RPM. Yes, the second fan here is the Arctic F12. So yeah, that goes up to 1500 RPM automatic, and I have everything set at auto. So when I do heavy rendering work, you know, I'm uploading videos to YouTube. Then I got my thing set up so my fans kick in and keep my system cool. If you have a CPU cooler, it's also good to go ahead on and a CPU air cooler is good to go ahead on and add an extra fan just for extra cooling. You know, if you're on a radiator, make sure if the case holds about 5 to 6 fans, crank them fans into it, because y'all play a lot of gamers. Y'all got them heavy GPUs. It's good to have massive air cooling in your case. So that's a blessing right there. But for me, you know, I don't like my system overheating, so I don't care if it's just at idle. I don't care if it's basic stuff or I got it idle mode. I like my CPU to stay cool at all times. So, you know. If y'all hear any background noise, my grandson's in the living room with me, so you know that's I works out my living room, so that's my little studio, my living room, and I got to go ahead on and peep it here and there the best that I can. So y'all excuse that. But doing these videos is great, so you know that's why I try to do my best in trying to go ahead on and max everything to perform to functionality and performance. So right now my CPU just is jumping up. The value is 50 degrees Celsius on both ends, value and max, and my noise is at 57.9 to 58.9. So far I haven't broke over the 7-degree mark. Excuse me if you heard me with a little cough. No, I don't have COVID-19. It's just the weather's changing down here. Constantly get cold, get hot. And with springers and summers around the corner, the activation of pollen. And pollen does a little, like clog my little nostrils up. So far she's holding pretty good. Haven't broke over yet. Single core. Let's put that in there. All right, on the single core test, she's holding at 58 degrees. She just dropped down to 57.8, 58.9. I will be doing a multi-core test after this. So the Solo T2 gonna have 2 tests, and the Cuboid I'm gonna have 1. And I'm gonna put the idles in it as well too. So that's pretty much good with that. Now y'all know my idle is that just open it up, go straight to your BIOS and just let it sit for a while. So I'm gonna go ahead and be doing that there. I did that already, but I noticed I had made a mistake on this test, so I say let me go ahead and do it over again. And this time I'm gonna run both single core and multi-core because I do a lot of stuff that deals with that crank all my cores up, so including my threads. So I'm gonna go ahead and be doing the multi-core test as well as the single core. This is the single core. The multi-core is next. And y'all know how I did it. I did the solo T2 in idle mode. Just go into your BIOS and just let it sit for like good 10 minutes. Other than that, almost done. Alrighty, everything holding at 57, 58, 50, 50 clean, so everything is good and clean. Test is done. My point is 1234 points, which is okay. You know, like I said, the point test don't really bother me. I'm just making sure that my temps are good when I do my photo renderings. Alright, everything going back down to normal, and I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the multi-core test. Alright everybody, I'm back. We're gonna go ahead and start the multi-core test. So go ahead and get on with that there. Now as you know, I'm at idle right now. I'm at 40.3, I'm at 58.9, 39. That's the NOI package right here. So that's the CPU NOI package right there. I'm not gonna show you the AMD 330 Ryzen 5 3600. I'm not gonna show you the voltage because I'm not doing the voltage test. I already know how much volts this thing pull out. So because I know what motherboard I'm on. The value of the temp is 37.0 to 50 degrees Celsius. Okay, she's a little warm, but not piping hot. So all right, we're gonna go ahead and get started with the test. And let's go. Let's get it. All right, test up and thump it. Oh yeah, she flying. All right, we kicking up at 47, 50 degrees still. Packet noise up to 70. It's going up. See, YouTube becomes mediocre-ish. What's that? See, the thing is, I subscribe to another lover's channel. Alrighty, temperatures at 57 degrees Celsius on both ends. Noise is at 75 degrees to 75.1. My fans are at 54. That's my main CPU is at 1544 RPM. My secondary fan is at 1483. Yeah, so this baby is pushing now. And she is hot. Now, what I'm going to be doing, I got a part coming in that Jay showed me on his video. When I go ahead and do the video to that there, I'll be putting his description link in the video below. It's a piece where you could go ahead and add a extra ventilation on the case. That if it don't have any ventilation, you could go ahead and buy that piece, and you can go ahead on and do the ventilation cutouts to go ahead and cut a nice little hole up top for the fans and everything. So, I'm gonna go ahead and put that video. I'll be doing that video soon. Sorry about that, viewers. I'll be doing that video soon. I'll be putting his link in the description below. If people have hot boxes that don't have no kind of ventilation, and that's the option that you can do instead of go around spending more money on parts that you don't have to. Okay, right now we at 59 degrees on both ends. Okay, right now my noise is at 75. It just dropped 75.3. 75.4 now to 75.8. So yeah, she's holding. I got 6-point-something minutes left into the multi-core test of Cinebench 23. My grandson having fun in the background, so y'all gonna be hearing that as well too. So this is why I call it Ron's World, because I'm branding me, and of course I work out in my living room. So, and I'm happy doing that. Right now she's still holding at 59 degrees. Oh, she just jumped to 60 degrees Celsius. But 60 degrees is the comfortable spot. Anything over 60 degrees is just basically your value point. So, if your PC is holding 50, that's good. My fan just jumped up to 1864 RPM to 1483 on the second one. The main one, the CPU cooler I'm using is ID Cooler SE 224 XT Basic. That's a great cooler. The max TDP on that CPU cooler is 180 degrees Celsius handlage. So anything over 180 is fine. As y'all know, I'm on a 64 watt TDP CPU. So if I want to, make changes to the CPU, I know that my CPU cooler can handle the TDP handlage of it. So now if I'm overclocked and I'm going to B CPUs, I had to go ahead and change out the cooler. But just like I said, this is my editing rig, and I'm not going to be playing no video games on it. So this is just for me to do my basic stuff, taxes, stock quotes, stock buying and stuff like that, and video editing for YouTube. That is it, and I love this system here. I could have went with more of a low end CPU cooler like the Ryzen 5 27 or the Ryzen 3 4 cores 8 thread, but I decided to go ahead and beef up to something more cool, more comfortable for me. Okay, noise is at 75.4, 75.9, 60 degrees Celsius, 61 degrees on the max. So then my fans are, yes, you see my fans right there. So yeah, 1864 RPM, 1483 RPM. So pretty much my ID cooling fan is pretty much maxed out. So when my fans decide to go, because your fans will go, you're gonna start hearing the clicking noise, just like hearing like your CV joint. Once you hear that clicking noise, your bearings are gone. You just replace the fans. So I'm looking for fans to be at least about 3,000 RPMs, up to 3,000, between 1,500 to 3,000 RPM. I ain't going no lower than 1,500 RPMs on my fans. So far, everything holding. She ain't broke over 80 degrees. So right now, she's just basically at your midpoint. 70 degrees, 75 degrees is basically your midpoint. Temperatures is 61 degrees. So anything between 60 to 75, you're pretty good. Once you start breaking over 75, like you go 80, then you need to start concerning. And then you start cranking 90, 100 degrees Celsius. Yeah, that means that you got cooling issues, and you need to go ahead and figure out why your system overheating. Okay, she's holding pretty good, so I ain't got no issue with heating issues. Everything cooling is fine. Also, I switched everything to the Apeva fans that I did an unboxing on. So the CK512S black, perfect fans. They go up to 1200 RPM all the way up to 1800 RPM. So that's a perfect good airflow. Once I do that cutout hole up top, so everything gonna be pretty much cozy. So I ain't gotta worry about no heating issues. I'll be putting the other people fan on top of it for the ventilation, and we good. Okay, almost done. All right, one more rendering to go. I'm at 1 minute and 20 seconds. And we are live and we going down. Right now, she's still holding pretty good, 61. So basically, the Solo T2 is doing this thing. A little downgrade, downsize, you know. If I want to add a fan up front, I can, but I don't want to add no more LEDs. This is my basic. I want this just to be my basic tier here, so I ain't going no RGB mode with it. I can if I want to. You won't be able to see it, but when that nighttime comes, you're gonna see all the lights hitting the roof and everything. But I don't want to go RGB on this anymore. That's why I had the downgrade. I got basically all my computers RGB'd up, so I got 3 RGB. That's all I need. I don't need the 4th one. Alrighty, as y'all see, 61, 62, 75.9. You can say 76 degrees Celsius to 76 degrees on the max. And she is thumping. Yes, sir. All right, she almost finished. And she held it at 61, 62, 74 to 76 degrees on the max. So yeah, she's pretty good, decent. I want to thank y'all for watching me do this test. Everything's good and dandy with this baby, and I'm happy with it. And if y'all want to know my score went up on the multi-core test. It's 60. What I'm talking about? It's 9237 points. The CPU single core on the Ryzen 5 3600 is 1234. The MP ratio is 7.48x, and I'm happy with it. I can't complain. So, you know, I'm happy with my system. I love my system, and I appreciate it. All right, see y'all soon.